Hello everyone and welcome to the class of economics. So dear students, today we will start with chapter 4, that is poverty, and these are the contents which we are going to finish. Introduction and meaning of poverty, measures of poverty, concept of poverty line, causes of poverty, and some poverty alleviation programs by government and its criticisms. Now starting with meaning of poverty, when we say poverty, it refers to a particular state in or condition in which an individual cannot satisfy his at least basic necessities of life. Poverty in India has been studied from two point of view, that is urban poverty and rural poverty, or urban poor or rural poor. In urban areas, poor people include pushcart vendors, street cobblers, rag pickers, beggars, etc. They possess a few assets. Why they are called as urban poor? The features of them are they possess few assets. They reside in kacha hutments with walls made of baked mud and roofs made of grass, thatch, bamboo and wood. The poorest of them do not even have such kind of dwellings. Okay. And the urban poor are largely to the overflow of the rural. That means all those poor people who are in urban areas, it is largely the overflow of rural poor only, who used to migrate to urban areas in search of some employment or job and livelihood. In rural areas, poor people include landless agriculture, cultivators, marginal farmers with very small land holding, and landless cultivators engage in a variety of non-agricultural jobs, or tenant cultivators with small land holdings. So these are actually the poor people in rural areas. The features are many of the rural people are landless, many rural people do not get even 2 meals a day. Now some common characteristics of poor people or poor person. First is hunger, starvation and malnutrition. That means the person who is facing such kind of odds or problems, starvation and hunger are the basic problems of the poorest household, where they could not get 2 days meal at least. Malnutrition is alarming high amount among the poor. Second is poor health. That means all those people who are poor, they generally possess poor health, that is physically as well as mentally, and they are weak due to ill health, disability, serious illness, and their children are less likely to survive to be born healthy. Third is limited economic opportunity. That means all those people who are poor, they have very limited economic opportunities, they possess less assets. Due to the lack of literacy and skill, they face all these odds and problem. They face unstable employment. That means their employment is not stable. They are not able to negotiate or tell about their problems in terms of legal wages from employers, and are always exploited in the hands of employers. Fourth is debt trap. That means these kind of people generally borrow huge amount of money for their survival in order to fulfill their basic needs from money lenders, and who charge high rate of interest that push them into chronic indebtedness. That means they are always in the debt trap. Fifth is lack of facilities of electricity and water. That means these kind of poor people always suffers from lack of electricity and water. Most poor households do not have access to electricity, and their primary cooking fuel is firewood and cow dung cake. A large section of poor people do not even have access to safe or clean drinking water. Sixth is gender inequality. The gender inequality prevails within the family in regards to participation of gainful employment, education and in decision making. Now some measures of poverty. There are two measures of poverty, that is relative and absolute measures. When we talk about relative poverty, it refers to poverty of people in comparison to other people, regions or nation. When we say absolute poverty, it refers to total number of people living below poverty line. According to absolute measure, around 22% of India's population is below poverty line. Now what is poverty line when we are referring to this? Poverty line is a cutoff point on the line of distribution of income, which usually divides the population of the country as poor and non-poor. The concept of this poverty line is used basically to measure the extent of poverty in any country. People having income below the poverty line are called poor, and people with income above poverty line are called non-poor. So this are the classification of poverty. Now determination of poverty line, how we can determine this poverty line as in India monthly per capita expenditure or the MPCE, that is method U, is used to determine the poverty line. According to this method, there are two basic method, that is monetary value in order to find out, and minimum calorie intake which is calculated. First we will discuss on minimum calorie intake. The Planning Commission has defined poverty line on the basis of recommended nutritional value which must be possessed by each and every person, and this nutritional requirement of 2400 calories per person per day for rural areas and 2100 calories per persons per day in urban area, which is must or which must be required. Higher calories intake has been fixed for rural areas because they are actually engaged in high physical work, because they has to do greater physical work as compared to the people living in urban areas. Second is monetary value of minimum calorie intake. As per Tendulkar committee, poverty line is estimated in monthly basis as rupees 816 per person in rural areas and rupees 1000 per person in urban areas. So people who are not able to earn even such money, in rural areas 816 and in urban areas 1000 rupees amount, are considered below poverty line. Now what are the categories of poor? That means there are types and variety or kinds of poor are there. The first is chronic poor. Chronic means the condition is very worst or severe. It includes people who are always poor and those who are usually poor. Second is transient poor. They may be classified as churning poor, that is who regularly move in and out of poverty line, like small farmers, and occasionally poor, that is who are rich most of the time but poor sometimes. Third is non-poor. That means these classification where people who are living above poverty line, that is they are non-poor people. Now what is the number of poor people, that is what is the proportion of number of poor people in India? When the number of poor is estimated as the proportion of people below the poverty line, it is known as head count ratio, whereas the official data on poverty is made available to the public by the Planning Commission, and it is estimated on the basis of consumption expenditure. That means when we try to calculate the number of poor people in India, it is estimated on the basis of consumption expenditure data collected by the National Sample Survey Organization. Now what is the number and proportion of people who are below poverty line? Number of people below poverty line in 1973 to 74, it was 320 million and were below the poverty line. In 2011 and 12, this number came down to 270 million. That means the number of poor people declined. Proportion of people below poverty line, in terms of proportion, it was 55% of the total population which was below the poverty line in 1973 to 74, and more than 80% poor lived in villages only, and now in 2011 to 12 it has fallen to 22%. Now British rule, which was the major reason or that time of British period when we have actually faced problems related to poverty, that is it has got an adverse effect on living standard of our Indian people. The first effect was British government systematically destroyed Indian industries. The primary motive behind the deindustrialization was having twofold motive. The first was to get raw materials like cotton, jute, etc. from India at very cheaper rates to be used by upcoming modern industries in Britain. Second motive or second purpose was to sell finished products like cotton, cloth of British industries in Indian market at a very high prices. Now second feature was more than 70% of Indians were engaged in, that means at that time more than 70% of people were engaged in agriculture throughout the British Raj period, and British policies raised rural taxes which enable merchants and money lenders to become large landowners. Third was, under the British rule, India began to export food grains. It was responsible for frequent famines, that is scarcity of food, and as many as 26 million people died in famines between 1875 to 1900. Why? Because all the food item or food grains were used to be exported to Britain and other such countries. Now agriculture still, that time if we talk about British Raj period, agriculture still was the principal means of livelihood. In India, agriculture is still the principal means of livelihood and land is the primary assets of rural people. So it has shown certain significance or features, that is low success rate of land sealing. Since independence, the government has opted to redistribution land, that is from then government has started to redistribute the land to the landless farmers or those who are marginal farmers through land sealing. Land sealing refers to fixing the specified limit of land which could be owned by an individual, and beyond that specified limit of land or land belonging to a particular person would be taken over by the government and provided to those who are landless, so that those landless farmers or small farmers can utilize or can use that land for the purpose of production of crops and can have earn their livelihood. Now, large sections of agricultural workers were not able to farm the small land holdings due to lack of money or skills. Land holdings were too small to be used or to be viable. Majority of small and marginal, that means majority of farmers were small and marginal farmers then, and these large section of the rural people in India are very small farmers. The land that they have used or they have is generally very less fertile, and they were all depending on rains only, because they could not have access to irrigation facilities. Their survival depends on subsistence crops like wheat and sometimes on livestock. Subsistence agriculture is self-sufficiency farming, that means these small and marginal farmers who occupy less land can only grow food for the necessities of their family only, in which the farmers focus on growing enough food to feed themselves and their family. Now, fragmentation of land holding, this was also one of the feature of agriculture during the setback which was faced by during the British Raj period. With the rapid growth of population and without alternative sources of employment, the per head availability of land for cultivation has steadily declined, and which has led to fragmentation, that is division of land holdings. The income from these small land holding is not sufficient to meet the basic necessities of life of certain person, and it has led to distress among the farmers. Now, what are the causes of poverty? When we have discussed measures to remove poverty, relative and absolute poverty. Now, what are the causes of this poverty? First is population explosion, that is major reason for this condition of poverty is rapid growth of population, particularly among the poor, which is responsible for problem of poverty in the country. Second is low level of economic development. Since the time immemorial, the economic development pace is very less, and the Indian economy is highly underdeveloped due to relative backwardness of agriculture as well as industrial sector. Then poor state of agriculture. Agriculture in India has continued to be backward due to use of primitive methods of production and fragmented small land holdings. As a result, labor and land productivity continue to be low in India. Fourth is high illiteracy rate, that means all those people who needs employment or who seeks employment are not literate enough, are not skillful enough or specialized for the purpose of employment. So, the weaker section of society have to take up low paid jobs because of illiteracy, because of lack of skills, due to, and members of the scheduled caste and scheduled tribes are not able to participate in the emerging employment opportunities. So, this was also one of the setback. Fifth is high level of unemployment. Basically, urban poor in India are largely the overflow of the rural people who used to migrate for the purpose of finding or seeking employment, and industrialization has not been able to absorb all that. Means because of industrialization, lot of industries are established, but still it cannot occupy or absorb all those people who are unemployed, and most of the urban poor are either unemployed or temporarily employed as casual laborers. Such casual laborers are among the most vulnerable part in the society, as they have limited skills, that means they do not possess any skill, specialization in the work, and with no job securities, no assets and no surplus to sustain them. Sixth is high level of indebtedness, that means all those people who are unemployed, who do not possess any job, or underemployed people, and the casual nature of works compels people to borrow more and more money, and that too at a higher rate of interest, and they find themselves in a debt trap. Inequalities of income and wealth, that is the unequal distribution of income and wealth or assets, has also led to the persistence condition of poverty in India. Now there are certain government approach to remove this poverty, that means government has took certain initiative or steps to remove this poverty. The first among them was, and this approach was initiated from the first 5-year plan in the first 5-year plan in 1951 to 56. This approach is based on an expectation that effects of economic growth, that is rapid increase in GDP and per capita income, would spread to all sections of the society and will trickle down the poor section also. However, growth oriented approach proved to be ineffective. That means government no doubt has started or initiated with such kind of growth oriented approach, but it was ineffective because population growth resulted in a very low growth in per capita incomes. Green revolution intensified the disparities or differences between regionally and between large and small farmers. There was unwillingness and inability to redistribute the land, and the benefits of economic growth did not trickle down to the poor. Second initiative which government has started with, that is poverty alleviation program. That is, alleviation here means to reduce, to have reduction. So just to reduce the poverty, this particular state, the second approach has been initiated by government in third 5-year plan and progressively enlarged since then. So the government has started with certain steps. The third is minimum needs program. That means the government has started with the third program. This approach has been initiated from the 5th 5-year plan, and it aims to provide minimum basic amenities to the people. India was among the pioneers in the world to visualize that people's living standard could be improved only through public expenditure and social consumption needs, that is after fulfilling the social consumption need in order to provide the minimum support price, in order to provide the food grains at a lower rate, subsidized rate, giving subsidies in education, health, water supply and sanitations. So with this public expenditure, government actually can reduce the condition of poverty. Programs under this are expected to supplement the consumption of the poor, create employment opportunities and bring improvement in health and education sector both. Now under this there were 3 major programs: public distribution system, integrated child development system and midday meal scheme. Now there were certain poverty alleviation program in India basically. Alleviation here means reduction of poverty only. The first program was self-employment programs. Here this self-employment program is basically done for the rural areas who were backward, who are jobless. So rural employment generation program which was made or initiated. This program was started by the government to create self-employment opportunities in the rural areas and small town. It was employed by Khadi and Village Industries Commission. And under this program one could get financial assistance or financial help by the government so that he could start his small business, any kind of, and so that he can become self-employed also to set up a small industries. Second was Prime Minister's Rozgar Yojana. Under this program, the educated unemployed people from lower income group families in rural and urban areas were given financial help to set up some small job or industries. Now third was Swarna Jayanti Shahri Rozgar Yojana. Under this it mainly aims at creating employment opportunities for both self-employed and wage employed people in urban areas. Now this program seeks to provide gainful employment through encouraging the setting up of self-employment ventures or jobs opportunities or provision of wage employment program for the people who are living in urban areas, that is those who are unemployed. Then fourth was Swarna Jayanti Gram Swarojgar Yojana. Now here Gram Swarojgar Yojana, that means it is basically dealing with the rural people. So it aims at promoting micro, that is small units of enterprises, and to bring the assisted poor families above the poverty lines. And giving us, to assist means to give them financial assistance by organizing them into some self-help groups, and people who wish to get the benefit from this scheme are encouraged to form certain self-help group in rural areas. Initially they are encouraged to save some money and lend among themselves as small loans. Later through banks the government provides financial assistance to these poor people, that is those who are part or member of self-help group, which then decide whom the loan is to be given for self-employment activities. Second was wage employment programs. Now here also this particular wage employment program is basically focusing on the wage which is provided to the employees. Now this scheme aims to provide, in which we have one initiation, that is Sampurna Gramin Rozgar Yojana. The scheme aims to provide additional and supplementary wage employment by undertaking some labor intensive techniques or work, thereby providing food security and security level for the jobs to them. Wages were paid as a combination of food grains and cash. That means wages which were given in kind and cash, that is in form of food grains also they were provided on their job place, and cash also. The scheme of this is open to all rural people and who need wage employment and desire to be manual and unskilled. That means these people who are doing work manually with labor intensive technique or unskilled workers in and around their village. Second was National Food for Work program. Now this program was launched in 2004 with the objective of intensifying the generation of supplementary wage employment program, and in which 150 most backward districts of the countries were taken care by to provide them additional resources apart from the resources available under this particular scheme. Now the program was implemented as a 100% centrally sponsored program. This program was incorporated in Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act, that is Manrega, in 2005. This particular act aims at enhancing the livelihood security of all those people who are living in rural areas by some food security and cash also, and guaranteeing them 100 days of wage employment in a financial year to be a rural household whose adult members volunteer to be unskilled manual workers. That is all those workers who are doing work manually and who are unskilled also. Now there are certain critical evaluation, that means government have started, irrespective of started this poverty alleviation program, but still they were facing certain odds and drawbacks, or there were certain critical evaluation by some scholars. The first was lack of resources, that is as compared to the magnitude or rise of poverty, the amount of resources which were allocated to this program, that is the amount of funds which were used for improvement in the condition of poverty, which was not sufficient, it was very less. Second, unequal distribution of assets, that means when it has a division of rural as well as urban poor people, due to unequal distribution of land and other such assets, the benefits from poverty alleviation programs which were not sufficient to sufficiently provided to the poor people. Then improper implementation, that means all those programs which were implemented or which were started depend mainly on government and bank officials for their implementations, and however because of corruption, lack of training, pressure from local leaders and non-participation of local level institution, the result was that this particular program which was not implemented properly for the sake of poor people. Then fourth was lack of infrastructure, that means all those infrastructure facilities which was required for fulfilling this particular programs or for the betterment of these programs, like schools, roads, power, telecom, etc., which were not services, training institution, which were not sufficient enough to fulfill the programs, the need of the programs. Fifth is lack of active participation of poor people. Above all, many poor people who are illiterate, who are unaware about the policies which were raised or which were started or initiated by government, so they could not get the advantage of these particular policy, and it reduced, in fact there is a need for active participation, that means there must be an active participation of all unemployed people or rural people for effective implementation of poverty alleviation program. But poverty can effectively be eradicated only when the poor start contributing to such kind of policies and take advantage of such kind of policy. But this is possible through a process of social mobilizing, encouraging poor people for the participation, awareing them and giving them empowerment, but it was not at all sufficient. So this is all about today's video. Thank you, and we will meet again in the next video.